I sometimes get asked why I love history so much, why it's such a fascinating subject to study, and what use it actually is. And so, in coming up with the answer to those questions, I've come up with 7 reasons why I think history is totally awesome. And here they are. If you're like me, you love a good story, and history is nothing if not full of stories. Action, adventure, comedy, romance, you name it, it's there. And just like when we watch movies, we come across characters and situations that both we can relate to and those that repel us. And the same is true with history, only with the stories from history, the characters and situations are even more significant because they were actually real. And even more, we get to find out about more than just the characters or the situations they were in themselves. We get to find out about things like what they believed, the countries that they came from, the social context that they lived in, and you might even be able to find out something about yourself if they are part of your own ancestral history. And if you're a creative person, and if you let it, history can also inspire you to write your own stories. It's easy to see why the ancient Greeks had a muse for history, because just like the others, she has the power to inspire. There are so many aspects to the human condition that transcend both time and space that are just as relevant now as they were tens, hundreds, thousands of years ago, that it makes the phrase, "there is nothing new under the sun," more than just a cliche. It makes it a truism. There's a reason we can still read ancient, medieval, and even more modern historical authors and still be moved. And even more, we can benefit and learn from the knowledge and conclusions that they came to. Just read some Marcus Aurelius and you'll see what I'm talking about. Of course, don't stop there. And why not take advantage of thousands of years of big thoughts when you yourself are thinking about them? At the very least, you're going to sound outrageously smart in conversation. C.S. Lewis once wrote that we read to know we are not alone, and this is exceptionally true when we read history. It's like being able to skip ahead in a choose-your-own-adventure book to see what happened to other people in similar situations. You'll also find out about things that make you say, "Wow, I never thought about it that way before," or "Hey, that's just like..." Insert modern situation here. And even those things from the past that seem so different from today, that they seem downright alien, can help us to really realize that we have a lot of modern biases and assumptions about the way things are that might not be shared by people in the future. And it's actually quite liberating, because what that says is that just because you don't go along with the modern crowd on everything doesn't mean that there haven't been, are, or will be people who do understand you. On a bigger level, understanding the structures, systems, and motivations of the past can help us to make wiser and more informed decisions today. It can also help us to see through the politicization, weaponization, and misinformation of history that has become so vogue in today's political and media circles. Contrary to popular belief, there is more to history than World War II, and not everyone who disagrees with you is a Nazi. The Crusades were not just an unmitigated act of brutality committed exclusively by Christians, and it took us quite a long time to get to the point where we had free speech and could use it. So let's have a care before we toss it away. An understanding of history and the tools it offers can help us to see what's good and to keep it, but also to see through the motivations of those who would manipulate us for their own unsavory agendas. It's easy to see how our own personal and family histories have a large influence on who we are. But it's even bigger than that, because so many of the beliefs that we have about the world, the cosmos, ourselves, come as the result of a long chain of cause and effect that stretches back into the past. And this is true on many levels, biologically, culturally, psychologically, etc. And once we start to realize the full implications of this, it can actually help us to transcend it. Even how you view history says a lot about who you are. Do you view it as something linear, moving from left to right? Do you view it as something cyclical, as things happening over and over again, only with different characters and actors? Do you see it as something that is moving onward and upward towards some final goal, or is it random? Is it all about the politics, the battles, the social institutions, the identities? And if you see it as irrelevant, that says even more. So why not do some digging and find out what it's all about for yourself? You are just as much a part of history as all of those who have come before and who we read about in history. By becoming aware of this, it can help us to realize just how fleeting our time in this life is. And it can cause you to question, how do you want to be remembered by history? Is your story going to be one that's easily forgotten? Or are you living a life that is worth remembering? One that your descendants and people in the future can look back on with wonder and awe and say, wow, now there was a life. And you just might have some fun making it that way. And finally, my favorite. If they ever do invent time travel, we'll have a damn good idea of what to expect when we travel back into the past. But what about you? What do you think of history, and why do you like it so much? Or why don't you? I look forward to reading your comments below.